All right, good morning, everyone. It is now 9:01. We will go ahead and get started. First of all, welcome to the SFSP Prospective New Sponsor Overview. My name is Tiffany Bedgood. I am an ed specialist here at the State Department of Education Child Nutrition Program. Today, we will provide a short overview of the SFSP program to you. Well, go ahead. And also, please make sure that you sign in the chat by entering your name as well as the name of your organization and the email address so that we can forward you some information that will need to be provided to you that you will need to submit as part of your pre-screening documents. Okay, here is our agenda for today. Of course, we'll have our introduction of the SUNS program staff. We'll briefly discuss the 2-day mandatory training.
Good morning.
Um,
How you doing?
Good morning. If
All
we
right.
could please remain on mute, we will have a short question and answer section at the end of the presentation. So let's see if we can remain on mute. But good morning. We will discuss what is SFSP, what is the Summer Food Service Program. We'll discuss about the sponsor eligibility, the role of the sponsor, what is a site, meal site types. We'll discuss congregate versus non-congregate. We'll also give a brief overview of the SFSP meal pattern, reimbursement rates, allowable costs, and also the required pre-screening documents that you will be required to submit. We'll also have reminders. We'll discuss important reminders and dates, as well as we'll have a moment where we'll answer questions. All right, here's our staff, the Sun program staff members. Our administrator is Miss Loria Hunter. Ed specialists are Lakeisha Love, myself, Tiffany Bedgood, Latoya Delbridge, Connie Buford, Katrina Hunter Harvest. And also we have Mr. Ben Guthrie. He is a former program administrator. He is with us now as a retired state employee. We also have Miss Stephanie Ingram. She is our ASA. Most of you probably have had some type of communication with us. She is the voice of our program. When you call our program, she will answer the phones, and she's the one that's sending out the communication as well. All right. In addition to attending the training today, there will be a required 2-day mandatory in-person training for new potential sponsors. That will be held February the 24th and 25th, 2026, here at the Gordon Person Building here in Montgomery, Alabama. Now, the purpose and the goal of our program is to make sure that even though that school is out, that no child goes hungry. We will go ahead and get started with our introduction on what is SFSP. Ms. Latoya Delbridge.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Latoya Delbridge. As Tiffany mentioned, I'm an ed specialist here at the Alabama State Department of Education. I joined the science program in May of this year. I'm very excited to be here, and I am eager to work with everyone. Um, the U.S. Department of Education Summer Food Service Program relies on innovative and collaborative efforts to reach children in need. USDA encourages collaboration with valued partners at the national, state, and local levels to raise awareness with the nutrition gap low-income children face when school closes for the summer and the availability of summer meals to close this gap. SFSP was established to ensure that low-income children continue to receive nutritious meals when school is not in session. Free meals that meet federal nutrition guidelines are provided to all children at approved SFSP sites in areas with significant concentrations of low-income children. SFSP operates during summer vacations, primarily in the summer months from May through September. It may also provide meals during vacation breaks in schools that are operated on a year-round basis or a continuous school calendar, and also during emergency school closures from October through April. USDA Foods and Nutrition Services administers SFSP at the national and regional levels. Within each state, the program is administered by the State Department of Education or an alternate state design agency. Locally, public or private nonprofit organizations that want to sponsor the program apply and are approved by the state agencies to operate the program. These sponsoring organizations sign program agreements with their respective state agencies and are responsible for overseeing program operations. Sponsors receive federal reimbursement from the state agency to cover the administrative and operating costs of preparing and serving meals to eligible children at one or more meal sites. What is Summer Food Service Program, or SFSP? The Summer Food Service Program provides free nutritious meals to eligible children and teens 18 years of age and younger during the summer months when school is not in session. SFSP is administered by the Alabama State Department of Education Child Nutrition Sun Program and funded by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Sponsors receive federal funds to provide nutritious meals free of charge to children and teens 18 years of age and younger, primarily targets low-income areas or programs serving primarily low-income children during the summer months. You must be you must meet sponsor program eligibility requirements to administer SFSP.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, now we will have Ms. Connie Buford on who can be a sponsor.
Thank you so much, Tiffany and Latoya. I am Connie Buford. I am an education specialist here for the State Department of Education as well. So let's talk a little bit about who can be a sponsor, sponsor eligibility. Sponsors must be organizations that are fully capable of managing a food service program. The following types of organizations can be sponsors: public or private nonprofit school food authority, units of local, municipal, county, tribal, or state government, public or private nonprofit organizations, public or private nonprofit camps, or faith-based organizations. To continue with sponsor eligibility, sponsors must demonstrate financial viability, administrative capability, and accountability. Sponsors must serve low-income children, provide year-round service, and sponsors must submit required program application documentation.
Thank you, Ms. Connie. All right, now we will have Ms. Lakeisha Love.
Good morning. I'm going to review the role of a sponsor. Sponsors are organizations that manage the SFSP sites and must be able to assume responsibility for the entire administration of the program. An SFSP sponsor must attend your state agency mandatory training. If training is not attended, you will not be eligible to participate in SFSP 2026 as a sponsoring organization. Locate and recruit eligible sites. Hire and train supervised staff and volunteers. Competitively procure food. Arrange for meals to be prepared or delivered, and also monitor your sites. Must prepare claims for reimbursement. Manage meal service operations at one or more sites. Ensure compliance with program requirements. Maintain accurate records and reports, and promote the program within your community to increase participation. Now, what is a site? A site is the physical location approved by the state agency where a sponsor can provide a food service for children 18 years of age and under during a supervised approved meal serving time. The site may be indoor or outdoor location. If it's an indoor and outdoor location where congregate meals are served, it could be a stop on a delivery route of a mobile congregate site or the distribution location or route for a non congregate meal site. Now, we're going to refer to the next slides are going to be about the meal site types. There are several different meal site types. An open site is a site that serves all children 18 and under. It's normally first come, first serve. You also have what's referred to as restricted open sites. These are sites that service children, but is restricted or limited due to place number of children of either space, security, safety, or control. Closed enroll only service children who are enrolled in a specific program or an identified group of children, as opposed to opening it to the community. Campsites can be residential or non residential. A residential campsite is 24-hour service to children, and a non residential is a place only enrolled children attend for the day. And only the children eligible for those who meet the free and reduced criteria via income eligibility forms will be reimbursed. And last is your migrant sites. Those serve meals to primarily children of migrant families. Certification documentation from a migrant organization is required. Now let's refer to the program service meal types. You have congregate meal service versus non congregate meal service. A congregate meal service is a meal service at which meals are provided to children and that are consumed on site in a supervised setting. A non congregate meal service means a food service at which meals are provided for children to consume all food components off site. To be considered a non congregate meal service, can only be operated at sites designated as rural via USDA requirements. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Lakeisha. Right now, I will discuss the SFSP meal pattern requirements. Required meal components. The meal pattern requirements include breakfast. It must contain one serving of flavored or unflavored milk, one serving of a fruit, vegetable, or full strength 100% fruit juice or vegetable juice, one serving of grain or bread. Now, an optional serving of meat or meat alternative, that is optional. For lunch or supper, you must contain one serving of flavored or unflavored milk that can be whole, 1%, 2%, or fat-free. Two or more servings of vegetables and or fruit, one serving of grain or bread, one serving of meat or meat alternate, as well as for the snacks, it must contain two of any of the four components. Now, with that, we always say with snack, we like to say give them something to chew as well as something to drink. Here are the allowable meal combinations. You can either do breakfast only, snack only, lunch only, supper only, or you can do lunch and snack, breakfast and snack, breakfast and lunch, supper and snack, or breakfast and supper, or two snacks. Now, with migrant sites and with some campsites, you can serve up to 3 meals, but that has to be state agency approved with the proper documentation. Now, also, I would like to say in order to meet the meal pattern, in order for the meal to be eligible for a reimbursement, it has to meet all of the meal pattern requirements. It cannot be, you cannot serve one, you cannot be missing any of the food components. And this is where we go to the reimbursement rates. Now, we do not have the reimbursement rates for summer of 2020-26, but we can share with you the reimbursement rates for summer program 2025. You see here that we have our breakfast reimbursement rates, which is we also have our lunch and supper as well as our snack reimbursement rates. Now, we do like to emphasize, because it is very important that you understand that the SFSP program is a supplemental program. it does not 100% fund your organization's summer program. The organizations are reimbursed based on the number of meals served. Now, of course, by the time we have our training in February, we will have the reimbursement rates for SFSP 2026. Let's take a look at allowable cost. With those reimbursements, there are allowable costs. Okay, allowable costs include the operation expenditures related directly to the day-to-day operation of the program. Reimbursements may be used to cover operating costs which are reasonable, necessary, and allocable. Here's some list of what is considered allowable operating costs may include but are not limited to. Of course, food. The food must be creditable to be considered an allowable expense. Non-food includes paper goods, cleaning supplies, etc. Labor, which includes food prep, service delivery, and cleanup. Facility service costs, which are costs for rental of building and food service equipment. Utility costs, which include the kitchen and storage areas, and also transportation costs for transporting children to meal service and costs for transporting food to meal service sites. Okay, now we have Ms. Patrina Hunter, who's going to go over the required pre-screening documents.
Good morning to you all. I'm Patrina Hunter Harvest, as Miss Tiffany just said. I'm so happy to be here with you today to give you a brief summary of the required pre-screen documents that will be due January 30th of 2026. New sponsor required pre-screen documents. Financial viability. Please provide one of the following: previous 3 months bank statement, single audit for governmental entities, most recent complete, financial statements, which can be accomplished by submitting a copy of the organization's most recently submitted IRS Form 990. A written report, which must include a financial statement covering the fiscal year. This statement must set forth the gross income, expenses, and net income. A balance sheet as of the close of the fiscal year.
Thank you, Patrina. In addition to the documents that Katrina just went over with you, we also have a few more documents that you'll have to have if you haven't already have them, but you will have to submit them to our office by January 30th. The first one is the Federal Employee ID number, or the FEIN. If you're not sure what an FEIN number is, it's the number, it's a 9-digit number used by the IRS to identify a business entity, often called a tax ID for business. We'll need a copy of your FEIN number. In addition to that, we'll also need STARS vendor number. Now, STARS vendor number, and that's right, that's STARS spelled with 2 A's. The STAR stands for the State of Alabama Accounting and Resource System. And any entity that does business with the state of Alabama has to be registered with the STARS and have a STARS vendor number. So you'll have to go online to STARS and register, because we do, you will receive reimbursements from the state. In order to get a reimbursement check put into your business account, you will have to have a STARS ID number. So make sure you register for that and send us proof that you've registered for STARS. In addition to the STARS, you also will have to have a unique entity identifier, which is UEI. That right there is obtained from the federal government. It's a 12-digit number. It replaces the 9-digit DUNS number that was provided by Dun and Bradstreet, which was previously used by agencies. So you'll have to have that number. If you don't have it, you'll need to apply for it. In addition, you'll also have to identify that you've registered with E-Verify. Now, E-Verify is you'll have to register through the Homeland Security, either with the federal government or with the state of Alabama. But anyone doing business with the state of Alabama and receiving funds must have a E-Verify memorandum of understanding. So you'll have to send proof of that. In addition to the E-Verify, you'll also have to have an IRS tax exempt documentation. That's more notably known as a 501c. If you have a 501c and if you are tax exempt, you'll need to send proof of that. Also, a letter of interest from the organization from the highest ranking official. So the highest ranking official of your organization will need to put in writing that you want when you send these documents, they'll need to sign off that they know what they're sending in and they want to register for the training that'll be held in February for new sponsors. Also, we need a list of all site names, addresses, and site directors. So if you've got any potential sites that you're thinking about, you'll need to send that information in to us because we'll need to check to make sure that those sites are not close to another potential sponsor or to another sponsor that's been operating. We just need to look and need to know where these potential sites are located at. And if you have any questions about any of this, please give us a call and we'll be more than happy to get you in the right, point you in the right direction where you can get these documents. Also, as we said earlier, SUN Programs 2026 two-day mandatory in-person training is February 24th through 25th. It'll be held right here in Montgomery at the Gordon Persons Building, located at 50 North Ripley Street. In order to register, you'll need to get these documents that we just went over with, me and Patrina. You need to have them into us no later than January the 30th. That's the deadline. You can email those documents. There's the email address, sun@alsde.edu. Just please send those in to us. And then also enter your organization's name and email address in the chat box. So we'll have a record of who was in attendance today. And also summer feed and pre-screen questions. We'll send you some, once we get these information in, we'll send you a pre-screen questionnaire and it will give us more information about your organization. And that document has to be submitted by January 30th. And I believe that's it on my end.
Great.
Once
Thank
again,
you,
if you
Mr.
have any,
Guthrie.
go ahead.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. But thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Guthrie. As Mr. Guthrie said, if you have any questions, of course, here's our telephone number as well as our email address. And let's go back over those reminders again because they are extremely important. Of course, as we stated in the beginning, and as Mr. Guthrie just stated, there will be a two-day mandatory in-person training. Will be held here in Montgomery at the Gordon Persons Building on February the 24th and 25th. It is required for those sponsors that plan to operate the program for summer 2026. They are required to attend that two-day mandatory in-person training. Also, you will need to submit all required pre-screen documents, which was on the screen that we just viewed before that Mr. Guthrie as well as Ms. Patrina Hunter Harvest reviewed. That information will need to be submitted by January 30th, 2026, and you will email that information to the SUN program at sun@alsde.edu. It is important that you please make sure that you enter your information into the chat box. I was reviewing and I see we have several of them that are entering now. Thank you all so much. That is important that we get your organization's name and email address in the chat box so that we can email you the questionnaires and also send you a list of the required document, the pre-screening documents that were discussed and shown here in this presentation. The questionnaire as well as the documentations are all due by January 30th, 2026. However, we do urge you to get them in sooner than later if you can. We will also send you information on a helpful resource where if you don't have that information, we'll send you information on how you can obtain that information that is required. All right. Okay, so at this time, do we have any questions? And also, Ms. Loria Hunter, our administrator, if you would like to chime in and add any comments.
Thank you, Miss Tiffany and Sun program staff. I just wanted to follow up with a few things that were mentioned today and to acknowledge that we talked about a lot of very important information in a very, very compressed schedule today. Much of the language or the jargon we're using, many of you might not be aware of or might not be familiar with. And that's why that training in February is so vitally important. I would also like to encourage you to do some self educating as well. There are many resources on the USDA website regarding the program requirements. There's an organization called No Kid Hungry. They do a fantastic job with providing information about summer feeding. And you might also visit our website. At the moment, it's actually under construction, so it's probably not the best resource, but we are doing some revamping of our summer feeding website. But we will be posting information on that on there as the website is being built and as our new documents are coming in. The state agency is also a very good resource. We have provided you with our phone number, 334-694-4660, and our website, sun@alste.edu. You can reach out to us at any time through those two methods, and someone will get in touch with you. I would love to encourage you to start planning now if you think that you're going to participate in the summer feeding program for 2026. The application process is a very detailed and protracted process. The documents that we spoke about earlier, getting some of those documents will take quite a bit of time, and we need to have those as part of your application packet if you plan to operate. So if you have pretty substantial feeling that you're going to be operating the program, please go ahead and start planning ahead and requesting that information. We will follow up, as Tiffany mentioned, with some resources for you. So we'll have the links to the STARS website, to the UEI website, E-Verify, to make it easy for you to get those things if you have not already gotten them. A couple of things I want to mention too is we will be checking if you are a private nonprofit organization, you should register with the Alabama Secretary of State. We'll be checking that, as well as if you're operating a business in your county, we'll be also asking you to substantiate that you are a business in good standing in the area where you're operating. Something else that I think is important to highlight is this is a reimbursement program. So the reimbursement that you receive from the state agency will not fully cover the cost of your program. So please make sure that you have other sources of income to be able to cover your full cost. The allowable cost, as Tiffany mentioned, many costs are allowable in the summer feeding program. It doesn't mean that you'll generate enough in reimbursement to cover those costs. So although it is allowable for you to, let's say, pay for transportation to get children to your site, you probably won't get enough in reimbursement to do that through your summer feeding funds. Therein lies the reason that you'll have to have another source of income to be able to cover those costs if that's something that you want to try to do. And that's pretty much all I have. Those were just some notes I took as we were going through, but I want to encourage you again, if you're going to participate, go ahead and get started on pulling those documents together. Start self-educating. Sign up for the training in February. Contact us if you have any questions. We're here to help. And thank you to the staff for putting this webinar together. And if you guys have any questions, we'll take those now.
I do have see a question in the chat real quick that I want to address by Mayor Vivian Covington. Question, will these items be discussed again in February as well? And the answer to that question is absolutely yes. What we've provided today is just a brief overview of the program requirements. But in February, we will give a very well detailed discussion and information on what is required for the program. Somebody said repeat the phone number. The phone number is right here, 334-694-4660. And our email address, the program email address is sun@alsde.edu. If you like, you can come off mute and we can, okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions? You can unmute.
Tiffany, we do have a question from Naomi Franco. She has actually 3 questions. What are examples of closed enroll sites?
Let me go back to that real quick. I think that was yours, Lakeisha. You want to go ahead and discuss that one real
Yes,
quick?
ma'am. Examples of closed enroll sites may be sites that, for example, a YMCA that is hosting a summer program where they actually have enrolled students and they are not feeding the community. They're only feeding students that are enrolled in their program. Number 2 says, what does providing year-round service mean for sponsor eligibility? Tiffany, I'll let you handle that one.
Right. Year-round service means that you have to be providing some type of service during the year round. It could be like a tutorial service that you may be offering. Some do like mentor programs, some type of program that you're offering to children during the year, throughout the year, not just at the summer, during the summer, but something that you're offering to the children in the community throughout the year. And then the other one, it says last year applicants were required to submit a board approval letter to participate in the program. Will this be required again for this year's application? Yes, I believe I am correct on that, Ms. Loria. We will require that again.
Yes, ma'am.
That will be required.
Can you give a little background why it's required?
Oh, wow. Okay. Of course, that deals with
or I can defer to Mr. Guthrie if you prefer.
Mr. Guthrie. Let Mr. Guthrie. He's better at answering that one.
Okay, that's a requirement that has to be undertaken because we want to make sure that the highest ranking officials in that organization are aware that the organization is applying for participation in the summer food service program.
Can you give us an example of what has happened in the past?
One time, several years ago, we had an organization that applied for the program. The person who actually prepared all the paperwork was someone that was kind of wasn't the highest ranking official, and halfway during the program year, that person kind of disappeared. And when we pursued it, the highest ranking officials of the organization was unaware that their organization was even participating in the summer feeding program. So that is one of the main reasons why we have to have those documentations on file to show that the highest ranking official in most cases will be the board chairman. If you have a board of directors, they know that the organization is wanting to participate.
I wanted to add a little bit about the closed enrolled site. So there is a requirement on a closed enrolled site that at least 50% of the students or children enrolled in that site have to be free or reduced eligible. There's really not enough time for us to go into all of the aspects of what that eligibility looks like or what needs to be done to determine that eligibility, but there are several options for that. But to have a closed enrolled site, at least 50% of the students enrolled in that site have to be free or reduced eligible.
Are there any more questions? I see someone is typing in the chat. Okay, do we have it? Can you support in another county? I am in Utah, but have several sites in mind in Cherokee County. Miss Loria or Mr. Guthrie, that one.
I want Miss Lakeisha to take that one, please.
Okay, Miss Lakeisha.
I'm sorry. The question is, can you support in another county if I'm in Etowah, but have several sites in mind in Cherokee County? As long as the particular site meets the 50% or more reduced eligibility requirement or in an area of area eligibility, and there's an agreement between that particular site and the sponsor, you can have unaffiliated sites or set up your own sites as long as you're aware that schools have priority when it comes to selecting sites. So depending upon what type of site you're looking for, you may want to keep in mind that the schools have priority. So not to go into too much information, um, if the school has priority and depending upon the site, if you're doing a closed enroll site and they're having an open site, as long as that site meets the area eligibility requirements, that's fine. But it also depends upon the type of site. The
Okay,
next,
Lakeisha.
I'm sorry, the next question says, what if the school system in your county, all students eat free, this being Russell County? There is, I'm going to type in the chat a website, which is USDA's area eligibility website. If you have an address, you can type in that address of a particular potential site, and the instructions on the website will inform you whether or not that particular site is area eligible, and that may help assist you.
What is area eligibility, Miss Lakeisha?
Area eligibility is an actual process where sites are able to determine if they are area eligible to participate in the SFSP program. The area eligibility requirement is 50% free or reduced students in that area. For an example, and I'm going to pull it up. Tiffany, do you mind if I share my screen? Hold on a moment. Let me go back.
So while Lakeisha is pulling that up, I just wanted to pipe in to emphasize that the purpose of the program is to provide nutritious meals to low-income children during the months when schools are not in session. So that area eligibility has to do with the economic need or the socioeconomic condition of the area in which the site is located. So I see that Lakeisha has pulled up the map, so I'll turn it back to her.
This is the USDA Area Eligibility Mapper. And if you've noticed, the title is Area Eligibility Mapper for CACFP and Summer Meals. I will also type that web address in the chat as well. Here you will find a map of the United States. You will enter in your address. Once you enter in an address, if the area, the point turns into green, then that particular site is area eligible. If it's gray, then it is not area eligible. And there are other means to actually determine area eligibility as well, but this is the first step.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Lakeisha. All right, are there any more questions?
Tiffany, I have one thing I want to just reiterate what I said earlier about, submitting a list of names and addresses of the sites. That's very important because if we've noticed that you've got a site or you're proposing to put a site in an area that's already served by a site from another sponsor, uh, chances are we will not approve that because our job is to make sure that we don't have sites competing against each other. Uh, you know, so there has to be a distance where the kids can't, go from site to site. So, we make that determination from the state, and we'll discuss that with you, once you submit your potential sites to us.
Thank you, Mr. Guthrie. Okay, Lakeisha has put that link in the chat as far as the area eligibility. And also, here are reminders again. These are very important dates. And also our contact information. If you have any questions, we are here to help you and assist you. Do I have another question? Okay, let's see. I think we have another question in the chat. Okay. It says, is the letter of interest required for the pre-screen different from the board approved minutes? I'm trying to determine whether a letter from our university chancellor would be sufficient or if minutes from the board of trustees are specifically required. Our board meets quarterly and will not meet again before January 30th deadline, but we can definitely obtain a letter from our chancellor. Miss Loria?
So that's a really good question. I am going to say yes. If you could get that letter from the chancellor just as part of your pre-screen documents, and by the time your application is due, is the letter of interest required for the pre-screen different from the board approval minutes? So the answer to that is yes. Yes, if you will get a letter from the chancellor saying that he or she is approving you guys' interest in participating in the program, and then once it goes to your board or whatever that process is for getting board approval, if you will attach a copy of that with the documents you will upload once the application gets opened up to you. And that application, last year, our due date was May 1st, which is probably what we're going to stick to for this coming year. So you might have some time, but the sooner you get the application in, the better.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'm right. All right. If we don't have any more questions, again, we would like to thank you all for joining us today. And just a reminder to get that information in. And if you have not provided your information in the chat, please do so. Be sure to do that. I'll leave it up for just a few minutes after everybody logs off, just to make sure to give everybody time to put their information in the chat. That is our way of communicating with you and providing the information that you will need for the pre-screen documents. If that is all, we'd like to once again thank you all so much. We look forward to partnering with you, and have a wonderful day.
You too.
Okay,
Goodbye.
bye-bye.